Karen. Good job.
Until a friend of mine told me what she made after only 2 years of training as a court reporter, I thought lawyers and judges were the only highly paid professionals in the courtroom.
By the way, that was fine work on the Kraft case, Miss Adams.
Thank you, Judge Wilson.
Classes are starting soon, so call Rasmussen Business College now, 292-1143. In Minneapolis or St. Paul, get going on your new career. Call for our free booklet, 292-1143.
From the people who knew him, love him, and impersonate him, next on Twin Cities Live. What a crowd. Good morning to you, and welcome to Twin Cities Live. Today is a very important day if you happen to be an Elvis fan, because today would have been Elvis Presley's 52nd birthday, one of the most incredible entertainers the world has ever known. There are very few people that can go around and use only their first name, and everybody instantly knows who it is. Elvis was the kind of guy that it's amazing how widespread his fame and popularity was. Maybe everybody in this world has a little something they liked about Elvis, I think, whether it was his gospel music, his many movies, his television specials, you name it, Elvis did it. And today we have two people who know so much about Elvis, it is incredible. We are really going to get into who the man was and meet his friends. And first of all, we have a friend of Elvis's that was a friend for a long time. May Axton is with us. And May, for those who may not be familiar with you, when did you first meet Elvis?
I met Elvis in early 1953, and that's been a long time. And we became very close friends at that time, and I sort of helped him get on some jobs and get started. And
did you meet him through the business, or?
I met him, the way I met him, he went down to make a birthday record for his mother at Sun Studio, the Phillips brothers owned.
That was the
in
record,
Memphis.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Sun Records in Memphis. And he went down to make a birthday record. You knew you'd go in there and you could pay them so much money, and they'd let you make a record, anything you want to do, a demo or whatever. And he was making a birthday record for his mother to give her on her birthday. And Sam had been looking. Sam was a longtime friend of mine, and he had been, of course, you know, the Johnny Cashes, the Carl Perkins, all those people that he took and then later sold them to someone else, but he got them started. And he had made a remark to the lady who was his assistant. And he said, you know, what I'm looking for now is someone who could sing gospel, country, rock, black, all kinds of music, where everybody could identify. He wasn't paying a lot of attention when Elvis first came in, and he had Scotty and Bill working for him. And so you want to ask a question?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And so, I was going to answer your question. Anyway, so as soon as he sang the first record and they were recording it, Scotty and Bill were playing with him, she called Sam in and said, there he is. So he listened again, and he said, son, would you like to put something on the other side? And we'll assign you to Sun Records. And that was it.
You were more than just a casual friend. You got together on one particular record that everybody knows about. Tell us about that record and how it came about, and how your friendship with Elvis developed over the years.
Well, we've remained very close till the day he died. He called me, the last time he called me was about 9 days before he died.
What did he say to you in that phone call?
In a phone call, he was disturbed over a book that some boys, he'd known most of them since high school, and he had supported them all those years, to be perfectly honest. Red, you all know that if they're listening or watching. And it hurt him terribly that he had gotten the advance copy of this book. And he had gone up, he said, May, I have been up to Mother's grave. That's before they moved her down into Graceland. He said, I sat up there for 2 hours. He always felt very close to her, and he would go sort of like you do when someone's very dear to you and could commune with her. And said, then I went down to the meditation garden, and I have walked through that, said I just had to come in and talk to you a while. And it just, I listened to that, bless his heart. He said, he just said 3 words that just tore me apart. He said, I don't know what I've done wrong. He said, May, it hurts.
Do you think that was played a major role in his death?
I think that I personally think it had a lot to do with it, because it placed a lot more stress on him, and he was under a lot of stress anyway. If you had seen the things I've seen, like a girl who jumped from the 2nd balcony one time trying to reach him, and all these sort of things through the years, he was under an awful lot of stress, but he was a fun person, too. He had a lot of happy times, but he was terribly hurt, and I do think it played an important part because I think it added to the stress.
Very, very close to his mother.
Very.
Did he change dramatically after her death?
He changed, and some say dramatically, but in his talks with me, she was always there with him, though he was very lonely for her because his mother had guided him. And when you find a mother where there's no money and she'll scrub floors and do anything so that child can have what he needs and protect him, there's a closeness there. She trained him religiously every way, gave him all the values in life that he still had when he died. Regardless of any controversy, Elvis was one of the finest young men I've ever known in my life, and I knew him while he was alive for over 25, 7 years, counted up.
He was such a contradiction.
From 53 to 77 while he was still alive.
He was such a contradiction almost to himself towards the end of his life, though, because he was very religious in his own way, in many ways.
He had a Bible on every plane.
And then, yet, he had problems with drugs.
Well, now, you may hit somebody who may jump you for that.
Well, tell us, was obviously
Elvis, I do not and will never believe in a million years, and I've been with him all through the years, so many times, he was not addicted to drugs. Now, there's a difference, and you think of your own self. Look at your own medicine cabinets. There's a difference in medication and being over-medicated. Mm-hmm. But Elvis hated drug addiction, and he fought and donated money and helped people get away from it. If he was too much over-medicated, he was not aware of it.
Was he too protected?
What?
He was too protected towards the end of his life. Was that what led eventually to the problems that he had? Because he was within a little shell, basically. The people around him just set up a wall.
Well, people say, yeah, the Memphis Mafia and all that sort of circling him off, but he still had his own freedom. Like you hear stories that Colonel Tom did this and he had to do that, but Elvis made his own decisions. The colonel would tell him what he thought. I've been there too many times when that occurred. I don't think he was overly protected from the mob, yes, but he had to be. There was nothing he could do.
What would be you knew him for so many years.
Uh-huh.
What would be your fondest memory? That first time that you saw him when he was a youngster or later on in life? What would be your fondest memory of Elvis as a friend? As a friend, there's so many. But one of the cutest things, and I will show you a little example of that, was Elvis. The girls just went wild over him, and they'd never heard of him. The first time he was in Jacksonville, Florida, I didn't even mention him in all the advertising because I handled all the PR, radio, newspaper, television, and didn't even, we said in one thing, Elvis Presley will also be there. Nobody knew who Elvis Presley was. And so he came on in the early part of the show, the first night. Hank Snow, the Grand Ole Opry, wouldn't close the show after that. He had to come before Elvis. And these kids who didn't even know him just went wild about him. And he said, I heard all this noise, and I went up. I said, the Colonel, what in the world is going on? I went up, and here's this kid out there. I thought he was sweet as he could be, and he was very polite and nice, very poor, because I paid for their first night that night at the hotel because I thought that he was so poor, and he got $50 a night for 3 of them. And I said, I saw this little girl I had taught. She was student nurse, and she was just jumping up, and I said, honey, hey, honey, oh, I'm Miss Oxley, all that screaming that you've heard. And I said, wait a minute, what is it about this kid? And she gave the most beautiful definition of Elvis Presley I've ever heard. I said, what is it? She said, oh, Ms. Axon said, he's just a great, big, beautiful hunk of forbidden fruit. You know, we all know about the, I feel like for some reason when I'm doing this show, I should be doing like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you should shake her or something. Heartbreak Hotel, I mean, that record, I mean, it must have been something special with you to...
It was very special. I've been telling Elvis for months that he needed to get with Colonel Tom Parker. I loved Bob Neal, who was working with him, needed to get with the Colonel. And I was doing PR for the Colonel. I said, you need to get with him, and you need $1 million seller. And I'm going to write that $1 million seller for you.
Is this a special record to Elvis? Because in his house, it isn't a different place than...
Yeah, it
has a
very
special little place.
It has a special place. Todd Morgan will tell you about that when he comes on. It was, he kind of grinned. He had that little crooked grin, you know, and he sort of grinned, you know, because, you know, it was all so exciting to him. He never realized what was happening to him, I think. And, but just very quickly, the story was, and that's another part of it, though. I'll talk this real fast.
Well,
hard to talk it real fast.
Did you go to Graceland a lot?
Quite a lot. I did not after his death, because when I go to Graceland, when I did, there was Elvis. He was playing the gold piano or playing or whatever, and the horses and everything. So after his funeral, I could not go back until Todd Morgan, the young man who's the other guest on the show, talked me into it last year. I had not been in the house since his death till then.
Well, we're going to bring Todd out in just a moment. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to give you our own little Twin Cities Live tour of Elvis's home, Graceland, when we continue after this.
Well, send my baby love me. Well, I found a new place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street. That's heartbreaking. I love you. I'll be so lonely, baby. I'll be so lonely. I'll be so lonely I could die.
Hi, my name is Jerry Burkhart, and I own the Waterbed Warehouses. Remember, at Waterbed Warehouse, you pay less, a lot less. And at Waterbed Warehouses, you always get more, a lot more. And here's another great example. Beautiful mirrored bookcase bed, any size, king or queen. Full set of 6 drawers, 2-piece padded rails, full set of sheets, and a mattress pad. Just $299. If you don't buy your waterbed from us, you'll probably just get soaked.
Your accident has caused tough problems. You need tough lawyers like Swore and Gatto. Call 690-4300. We'll get tough with whoever hurt you. Tougher with stingy insurance companies. Toughest in going after every dollar you have coming. Every dollar. Swore and Gatto, 690-4300. We'll turn tough luck into tough actions and the biggest cash award possible. Swore and Gatto. Tough lawyers for the toughest problems. 690-4300.
On Amtrak, it's not only the destination, it's the journey itself that makes travel exciting. Our Superliners to Seattle and Portland now offer hospitality hour, bingo games with prizes, and after dinner, a terrific movie.
All aboard, America. All aboard, Amtrak.
Become a laboratory technician at Lakeland Academy. Start a career in the medical field, helping others. Be a professional. In 12 short months, you'll be ready for work.
I got a job.
I got a job. I got a job.
We'll help you find a job when you graduate. Call 827-5656. Lakeland Medical Dental Academy. Call 827-5656. Call now, 827-5656.
Big story in the media. I'm sure you heard about it just before Christmas. The local group stormed a store, bought all the so-called war toys, got them off the shelves. This past Friday, they made headlines again when they protested our military involvement in Central America, specifically the Minnesota National Guard, Air National Guard, going down and taking part in some maneuvers down in that region of the world. Well, coming up on Friday, Women Against Military Madness. They will be here. Join our studio audience this Friday and speak out on issues that could affect all of us and our children. Should we enforce a ban on nuclear testing? Do characters like Rambo perpetuate violent play among our children? We'd like for you to be here and voice your opinion. Women Against Military Madness, coming up Friday on Twin Cities Live, and the number to call is 641-1298 to reserve your seat. 641-1298 for Twin Cities Live this Friday.
Oh, I think he's the greatest singer that ever lived, and he will be the greatest. He's just wonderful.
Well, it's one for the money. Get ready now, go, can't go, but don't. Never mind, please. Tell me, dear, are you lonesome too?
No doubt about it. The man had something special. No doubt about it. May, before we move on and take everybody to Graceland, I want to ask you, you want to just tell us something about Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah, you had asked me about the writing of Heartbreak Hotel and why it was special. There were two reasons. Number one, I had told Elvis that he needed a million seller, and I was going to write it, but I didn't know what. I'd try to think of ideas, and finally this friend of mine, Tommy Durden, whose name was on the record, came into my house. We'd written a bunch of songs together with this story about a man who had written one sentence: I walk a lonely street, tried all identification, and killed himself. And it just stunned me. And I said, but Tommy, everybody in the world, this world, has someone who cares, regardless of how rich or poor they are, how good or bad, how high or low their status in life. So when that somebody or those somebodies read this story, they're going to be heartbroken. So let's put Heartbreak Hotel at the end of that lonely street. 22 minutes later, it was on tape. And I called Elvis, and I said, Elvis, I have your million seller. I'll fly into Nashville tomorrow. He was afraid of planes at that time, so he drove from Memphis. And I played it, put it on the tape recorder, and I'd never heard Elvis use this expression before. He said, hot dog, May, play it again. I listened to it about 10 times, and I remembered, and that's the double thing. I made it a double thing here. I remembered one time we were at Daytona Beach a year or two before, and Elvis was looking out. We were up on a little terrace looking out over the ocean. He had never seen the ocean before. And he said, this is so beautiful, May. He said, I wish I had enough money to bring my mother and daddy to Florida. So I never forgot that. And so I said, Elvis, I know that RCA, Steve Shows called me, and RCA is buying your contract from Sun. They'll get all the old masters. But if this is your first original release on RCA, I'll give you a third of it, and you have enough money to bring your mother and daddy to Florida.
He had a little more than enough. Yeah,
a lot of people think, you know, they say Elvis stepped right, but Elvis never claimed to, and he didn't, and that's why his name's on it.
Now, joining us now, Todd Morgan is the Director of Communications at Graceland. And Todd, the first question is, why, almost 10 years after his death, why, and I go home and visit my parents in Memphis all the time, and every time I drive by that place, and I did many times as a child, there are people standing in line. Every day of the year, people visit that house. Why so long after his death? What is the hold that he has on people?
Well, I think it's just a continuation of whatever that magic something was he had when he was alive. It didn't end when his life ended. If you could answer the question, why was he so popular to begin with, then you'd have the answer to that question. And there's no clear-cut answer. Elvis, he was a very unique and special blend of a lot of things. It was obviously a tremendous amount of talent. There never was a voice like that. A lot of charisma, which is something you can't buy, bottle, or sell. You either have it or you don't, and he had it. Fateful timing, shrewd management, good looks, smooth moves. It just all came together the right way.
Boy, he had the moves, didn't he?
He had the moves.
He had those moves, boy.
And I guess really the way to sum it up is that he was just uniquely qualified to be Elvis when we needed somebody to be Elvis.
Todd, when we look around this room, and you look at the people in this room, and they said they were all Elvis fans, one thing I think that strikes you, and maybe you can tell us from your perspective, people that come to Graceland, it doesn't appear to be any one particular type of person that was his fan.
That's true. It's just like his audiences when he was alive. Of course, in the early days, it was mostly teenagers, but in his later career, the concert years, you look out in his audience and you'd see all ages and backgrounds and all nationalities and colors, and he was truly a universal star. He broke down all the barriers of musical taste, the barriers of language and background. The world comes to Graceland because the world went to see Elvis.
I was just wondering, when did Elvis start wearing his white jumpsuit, that symbolic look?
Well, he, as you know, in the 50s, he wore mostly street clothes, really cool-looking street clothes, too, by the way.
Pink.
And then he very cool. And then the 60s, you know, he was wearing whatever was in style at the time or whatever the movie called for. But after he decided to get out of the movies and get back to live performing, he did this really wonderful television special, the 68 TV special in the black leather. And that's when he first started working with this particular designer, Bill Ballou. After he wrapped up his movie contracts in '69, he was to debut in Las Vegas at the International Hotel, the biggest showroom. It's now the Hilton. And he wanted something unique, something special. And the designer felt the same way. So a lot of work and a lot of ideas early on. There were some two pieces they experimented with in jumpsuits, but it was in 1969 when he started wearing them. He didn't want to come out and be like anybody in a tuxedo.
Now, how many people here have been to Graceland? We have quite a few, but there are a lot of people that aren't able to get to Memphis. Well, we here on Twin Cities Live are going to take you to Elvis's home today. And Todd's going to be our tour guide, so let's take a look at Graceland. And we're going to go down there and see exactly...
Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in?
That's the TV room. That was the party room. He's got 3 TVs, stereo equipment, very 1970s look that's frozen in time. This one's across the hall in the basement. That's the billiard room and the pool room. Hundreds of yards of fabric. And this is the jungle room den, one of his favorite rooms. With all that furniture, reminded him of Hawaii, and he really loved that part of the country. And that's the Hall of Gold, an 80-foot hallway lined with gold and platinum records from all over the world. And that's another part of the trophy room. And there are his Grammy Awards. He was nominated 14 times, but the King of Rock won his Grammys for gospel. And that's the award belt from 1969, breaking all Las Vegas attendance records. Aloha from Hawaii, 73, his satellite concert, that's the outfit. More costumes. His last motorcycle. His Harley Davidson, he loved Harleys. Harley Davidson fans. Some of the cars, there's a Ferrari and a 3-wheeler with a Volkswagen engine, another Harley Davidson that you see, also a dune buggy that he used out in California. And you see all these cars and vehicles. These were toys to him. There's another 3-wheeler with his famous TCB logo on it, and a snowmobile, Memphis style, converted to run on the grass.
Has wheels underneath
right.
it.
Right. And the Jeep from Blue Hawaii, 1961, and that's probably the most famous vehicle associated with Elvis, the 1955 Cadillac Fleetwood, pink and white, his mother's favorite, and it's at Graceland.
Now, there are many other parts of Graceland that we couldn't show you all of it. I mean, he had a racquetball court built in his backyard, the barn where he kept his horses. There are parts of the house that are not open.
Right. And we didn't see all that was open there. There's a lot more to see besides
there's much,
that.
much more. But what parts of the house are not open at this time?
The upper floor of the mansion is not open. That's where Elvis's bedroom, bathroom, wardrobe room, his daughter's room, his private office, all of those rooms are. And with the opening of Graceland, it was decided that since that upper floor, when Elvis was alive, was always private and by invitation only, we'd keep it private. The part that you see when you visit Graceland is the part that Elvis showed anybody with great pride, anyone who came to visit. And besides that, we have over 500,000 people a year, and they would collapse the staircase if we tried to go upstairs.
Now, you were talking about some of the things that we might see at Graceland. You brought a couple with you. First of all...
Yeah, what do you want to see first?
Well, let me see that. I love that, the cape.
Yeah, I took this out of the trophy room before I left Memphis. And if you think it's heavy,
put it on, Tom.
You're right. No, I won't put it on.
Here, let me try that on here real quick. Let's see what. Put this on here. Woo! I want to tell you, this is heavy. This is very, very heavy.
You look pretty good, Bob, but not quite Elvis.
Bob,
that is very, very heavy. Yes, ma'am.
We should go from that now to the first kind of things he wore.
Yeah, because he really was...
He started out, when he first started, I'm going to show you the size of him, too. Where is it, up there?
It's right here. This cape is from an outfit from about 1974, and this
is about 1953. Elvis and Ford.
Pull it out, May.
I will, man, but I got to say, well, wait, it's not the whole costume, but he wore these lace shirts with no undershirts. In those days, you had undershirts on. And regardless of what you had, he wore these with pink suits and purple suits and white suits. And this is the size of Elvis. This is one of his shirts that he wore. It's a good story how I got it. That's how big he was.
See, and Prince thought he came up with lace, huh? Look at that. What did Graceland mean to Elvis?
Graceland, well, he bought it in 1957.
Yeah, he did not build
He didn't build Graceland. He didn't name it. It was already named Graceland, and he liked it. He bought the house for himself and his parents and his grandmother. Graceland was home. It was his refuge, his private corner of the world. It was where he was most comfortable, where he could be himself. He loved the place, and when you go through there, I don't know how many people I've talked to, fan or not a fan, when you walk through, you can feel that he was there and that it was special.
I have kind of a two-part question.
I love two-part questions.
Okay. I was wondering how accurate the book that Priscilla wrote entitled Elvis is, and if it is a good description, did he have a temper?
Yeah, he had a temper. His temper was like anything else. Elvis was good at that, too. He was good at everything. But
don't you have a temper?
The temper, yeah, I have a temper. May has a temper. We fought all the way up here this morning. No, we didn't really. But it wasn't a kind of temper that would cause him to hurt anyone. It was just, he would boil over sometimes because of all the pressures he had, but he never hurt anyone with it. He might have scared a few people, but it was, you know.
I'm curious as to what kind of music Elvis listened to when he was by himself. Whose music was it?
Who did he listen to?
Later or earlier?
Well, yeah, it was just at different times, different people were his favorites. But in talking to a lot of people who knew him, he loved everything and every kind of music and many artists.
Got to take a quick break here, but when we come back, Todd, you have to tell me the story about one individual who climbed over the wall at Graceland just to see Elvis, and you will be surprised who that individual was when we continue on Twin Cities Live. Don't go away.
The law offices of Meshbesher, Singer & Spence, a good firm to have on your side if you've been hurt in an accident.
If you've been injured in an accident and believe someone else is at fault, we'd like to help you. Without an attorney to take your side, you may have to pay much of your own way, and that isn't fair. But we can help, and you can see us for free. In fact, we're paid only if we win your claim and you collect. It's the only fair way.
Meshbesher, Singer & Spence, on your side.
Begin an exciting career in the allied health field at the Medical Institute of Minnesota. Choose from 4 programs: medical assistant, dental assisting, medical laboratory technician, or veterinary technician. MIM offers short-term specialized training in your chosen field. Lab work is emphasized, followed by actual clinical experience. Picture yourself in a hospital lab, doctor's, dentist's, or veterinarian's office. Call 1-800-331-2000 for our free booklet. The Medical Institute of Minnesota, 1-800-331-2000.
If you care about what you cook, we care about what you cook with. Sargento of Wisconsin.
Hi there. This is about food and value. Food value. Food. Talk about quality, selection, and friendly service. You're right on at Red Owl. And when it comes to prices.
Now at Red Owl, regular Spam or new low-sodium Spam luncheon meat, $1.39. Carnation Rich Chocolate Hot Cocoa Mix, $2.89. Your favorite banquet brand TV dinner, 79 cents each. John Morrell Golden Smoked Bacon, $1.28 a pound at Red Owl.
The right place to shop.
Hi, I'm Robert Mandan. Some people think they don't need a safety belt at low speeds or on short trips. The truth is, 80% of accidents occur at less than 40 miles per hour. 3/4 are within 25 miles of home. Hey, buckle up on every trip, okay? Safety belts save lives.
What's your favorite memory of Elvis?
Memories, his song Memories.
Memories pressed between the pages of my mind. Memories sweeping through the ages just like wine.
You know, when you can hardly do justice to the man in an hour because there's so many different things to talk about when you talk about Elvis. But, May, you wanted to mention something about gospel music and that he loved gospel music.
Yeah, he liked all kinds, and he had all sorts of records, and he played everything. But I guess one of the happiest times to me that I have seen in his home and sometimes on the road, like when he was doing a movie, maybe we'd be down there for a weekend, everybody would gather around the piano, and they were all gospel songs. He loved gospel songs.
Now, to show you how this man's fame went to everyone, tell me a story, Todd, about somebody who crawled the wall at Graceland and just had to see the king of rock and roll. The king of rock and roll.
Well, it was the boss. That's who it was. The boss went to see the king. It was, and I'm telling you a story. I have this story on tape from Bruce that he tells in concert a lot. It was back in 1975 on the Born to Run tour. He was in Memphis, and he was at his hotel room with some of his band, and he said, "We got to go to Elvis's house." So they got a taxi, took him out to Graceland, dropped them out in front of the gate, and he noticed looking up the hill, up the long drive, that there was a light on in one of the second-story windows, and he said, Elvis has got to be up reading or something. I got to go check it out. So he jumped the fence. Bruce had just gotten his picture on the cover of Time and Newsweek. It was the first really hot part of his career, and before all of this that's happened recently. And he jumped the fence and ran up the driveway, up the hill, and got to the front door. He was just about to knock, and the guards came out and got him. "What do you want?" And he said, "Well, I'm a guitar player, too. I've made some records. Just played a show in town. I want to talk to Elvis. I know he'd like to talk to me." And they were going, yeah, okay. And they hauled him off the property.
Interesting that just recently, Bruce Springsteen, they did a poll, who is the king of rock and roll? And the king...
I'd suspect that Bruce called in a vote for Elvis because he's a big Elvis fan. You know, something that he says, just to give you an idea of how Elvis has inspired people, and Bruce is a great star, a great artist. Bruce said it wasn't Elvis I was going to see that night, but it was like he came along and whispered some dream in everybody's ear, and somehow we all dreamed it. And he said, I guess that's why we're here tonight.
Beautiful.
Jump right.
Hi. May, have you ever met Priscilla? And if so, what did you think of their relationship?
I love Priscilla. I knew her from shortly after she came over until, well, still, I had a letter from her just the day before yesterday. And Priscilla's a very wonderful young lady, and she was very much in love, and I think will always be and will die in love with Elvis. And Elvis was in love with her. Elvis loved no woman but Priscilla Presley till the day he died, though he may have loved others, but he was in love with her, and there would never be but one wife for him.
I would like to know if there's somebody that goes and decorates Graceland how Elvis had it, like during Christmas.
We do every year at Christmas time. Well, first of all, Christmas was probably his favorite time of year. He loved to be at Graceland any time, but especially at Christmas. The decorations, which were very elaborate, would go up practically the day after Thanksgiving and stay up through his birthday on January 8th. If you get to Graceland this afternoon, you can still see them before we take them down tomorrow. Hundreds of light bulbs on the front driveway, a huge life-size nativity scene, the house decorated throughout. It was a special time, and we decorate it like he did.
And growing up in Memphis as a child, that was the place that we went to see every year. When it came to looking at Christmas lights, everybody had to drive by Elvis's house, and all the blue lights up the driveway.
Yeah, and when you were in Memphis, you stole a few of those bulbs, and I want them back.
Got to get a souvenir.
Did Elvis love Priscilla as a spouse or more of a fatherly role? Did he play more of a fatherly role?
Because she was very young. How young was she when she first moved into Graceland?
Well, she was about 16 when she came to live in Memphis with Elvis and his family. But theirs was a very intense, very involved, very complicated relationship. I guess all of us have complicated relationships.
He was very protective
But the best thing you can do is read her book. I think she puts it into perspective. I think one thing she did in her book was to show that he was a person. He was a great artist, but he was a human being.
May, why did she write the book after so many years of being quiet and never saying anything, and then suddenly she writes the book?
Well, I think there's so many things said that was wrong, and I think that in hers even, that the lady who wrote for her took a little poetic license, because Priscilla had said something about one incident to me at one time.
Everything you read in the book, you've read before, but in really distorted versions, and she just wanted to, once and for all, just tell it like it was.
I know Elvis was a very generous man. Were you or any of his songwriters recipient of any of his Cadillacs that he had?
Elvis was more fun. Elvis tried, and the last 2 years he kept wanting me to want to buy any car I wanted, and I'd say, I've got a good Cadillac, I don't need one, and the boys would call me and say, tell us what kind, he wants to buy you one, And I never did that till he died. That last year, 2 years when he bought me lots of things. But I had seen so many people being takers and going up and say, I like that ring, he'd give it to him, buy Cadillacs. But I want to bring this up when we're talking about giving, because he was. Oh, well, can I tell 2 things real fast if I hurry?
Hey, go ahead, real quick.
One thing was that he'd sent his plane to pick me up to go somewhere, and so this time he was going to Pontiac, Michigan for a tour, and the last 2 times I hadn't been able to go because I do PR for other people and I had clients that I couldn't go. So Elvis called me. He said, you going with us tomorrow to Pontiac? I said, I can. I don't have a thing that's time it in. By the time he sent the plane over, about 11 o'clock the next morning, a client of mine in New York called and I couldn't go. T.G. and Diane Shepard and I were going. Well, T.G. and Diane went on. So when they came back the next day, they came by my office and they were doing like this, you know, and talking, oh, what a good time. You know what we talked about all the way up there and so on. I said, no, I wasn't. You know, I want them to say you, and of course, which they didn't. And about that time, Diane's ring, they had these big old diamonds on, just went rolling out there. And I said, where's mine? You know, I knew that's what they were trying to get me to. I said, well, where's mine? T.G. said, well, he said he had one for you. He showed it. He said, you didn't come, you didn't get it. And that was really funny because he liked to watch people's eyes. Elvis got the greatest happiness out of watching people. But the other thing I want to tell real quickly is he gave those things away, but what he did for people that nobody knew is what I'd like for them to know. I told Jack and them this a long time ago, and they have discovered that he gave millions of dollars away. I know one young lady who's married happily now, can see out of one eye. She had cancer of the eye. He read about it. I said to him one day, I said, Elvis, all these good things you do, they ought to know. He said, no, May. He said, it would take away part of what I mean to do.
When we come back, we'll have time for your question. We'll also talk a little bit about Lisa Marie, what she's doing now when we continue on Twin Cities Live.
Armour remembers.
Remember waking up to the smell of Armour bacon as a kid? You'd follow that sizzle, and there'd be Mom in her old chenille robe. She'd hand you a strip of that lean Armour bacon. Then before she could fry an egg, that bacon would be gone. Seemed like you could taste how much Armour cared. Well, Armour still cares, and you can still taste it.
Do you want to make more money? Of course, we all do. So find out how easy it is to train at home for a better career. Pick up the phone and call this free number. There's no obligation and no salesman will visit you. Here at International Correspondence Schools, more than 9 million men and women have trained for job promotions and new careers without setting foot inside a classroom. And now at home in your spare time, you can get your diploma or get your degree. Choose any one of these courses: computer programming, high school, auto mechanics, hotel restaurant management, veterinary assistant, drafting, child daycare, bookkeeping, travel, TV VCR repair, medical dental office, electrician. Or get your degree. You can major in business management or in accounting. Call for free information on any one of these courses. Then decide if you want to train at home for a better career, to make more money or advance in your present job. Call 1-800-247-3600. Operators are on duty to send you free information by return mail. Call now, 1-800-247-3600.
Miller High Life presents The Sportsman Show, the Midwest's greatest boat camping and vacation show, Tuesday, January 13th through Sunday, January 18th at the St. Paul Civic Center. For the fishermen, camper, and boating enthusiasts, the #1 sports show is back in St. Paul with daily stage shows starring Williams and Bree, the Great Melindas, the Great American Lumberjack Show, and more. Also, daily fishing clinics and introducing the Boater Home. Save the dollar, pick up free discount coupons at Red Owl, Q Superettes, United Stores, or wherever Miller beer is sold. The Sportsman Show at the St. Paul Civic Center, January 13th through the 18th, presented by Miller High Life. Don't miss it.
Imagine going through a lengthy, painful divorce and losing custody of your children. Then your visitation rights are taken away when your ex-spouse accuses you of sexually molesting your own children. Now, you claim you did not abuse your children, but the courts and your former spouse say otherwise. Where can you turn? On Monday's Twin Cities Live, you'll meet 4 fathers who say they were falsely accused by their estranged wives. They say their ex-wives used these accusations and lies to get back at them. Call 641-1298 now and reserve your place in our studio Monday morning when alleged victims of child abuse laws speak out.
Hi, I'm Gavin McLeod, and I have a very special announcement for folks here in the greater Minneapolis-St. Paul area. If you or your parents are between the ages of 50 and 74, I'm going to ask you to make a very important telephone call as soon as this announcement is over. But first, I'd like you to meet a very special couple, Gordon and Mickey Scott. They recently heard about the Security Trust life insurance plan and called for their free information kit. Why?
We worked hard all our lives to provide for our family and build our savings. Lately, we've really been concerned about what a prolonged illness and death could do to the nest egg we've worked so hard to build. We felt that additional life insurance was the answer, but we didn't think we could get it because Gordon is 71 and has had 2 heart surgeries.
That's when we heard about this plan. They said we couldn't be turned down and that it only cost $5 a month. I can't tell you how much it means to Mickey and me not to have to worry anymore about becoming a burden on our children.
That's terrific. And just like the Scotts, you too can get this guaranteed coverage for only $5 a month, so long as you're between 50 and 74. We'd like to mail you this free information kit, but we can't mail it until you call for it. And that's what I hope you'll do right now. Now, it doesn't matter how many other insurance plans you've called for. Believe me, you should definitely call for this one. Here's how.
Call toll-free 1-800-248-9100. 1-800-248-9100. The information kit Mr. McLeod spoke of will be mailed to you free with no obligation. So call now, 1-800-248-9100. 1-800-248-9100. This is a free call.
I just love him. Still do. He's the best.
Even though he's been dead for almost 10 years?
Absolutely. No one can compare to him.
What is the feeling then that you get going through the house and when you stand in meditation gardens?
Very sad. And I go home with that feeling. But then still glad to come back and see all of it. Love it.
Welcome back to Twin Cities Live. We're talking with Mae Axton, who was a lifelong friend of Elvis. Also rode Heartbreak Hotel with him, and Todd Morgan, who is from Graceland, the director of communications for the mansion down there. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to know what age Elvis was when he started dyeing his hair.
When he started dyeing his
I understand he was a blonde.
about like
him.
yeah, about like
About
maybe a little darker
And he liked his hair dark like his mother, is that true?
Well, he just liked it dark. You know, he just liked it. That, you know, a lot of people try to put a reason behind everything he did. He just liked it, so he did it. But in looking back, it seems it was about 1957 during the time he was shooting his second movie, Loving You. And it would be either black or dark, dark brown. But sometimes he'd let it go back to its natural color.
I'd like to welcome you both to Minnesota and ask how many people you expect to come to Graceland in August.
In August? Well, it's not just August. The whole year is going to be incredible.
No, but with the 10th anniversary, I thought you were expecting.
Well, it's just the 10th anniversary year, 1987. Elvis has been gone for a decade this year, and the anniversary will be August 16th. The whole year, so many television projects are planned, documentaries, TV specials, music specials, books. So many things are going on. And we'll have more people at Graceland than ever before. And then Elvis Week, you know, we're a tourist business most of the year, but when Elvis International Tribute Week gets here in August, that's when all the real fans come back, and it's like a big family reunion, thousands of them. There'll be more than ever before, and you better be there.
I don't mean to change the subject back again, but
you can do anything you want on this show. Change it back.
Just don't step on Bob's blue suede shoes, that's all.
Someone had asked how true the book Priscilla wrote was. Well, how untrue was the book that Red, West, and Sonny and Dave wrote?
In talking to some of the guys who were around at that time, I think the book that the West Boys and Dave Hebler wrote, it was colored a lot by their, well, sort of some sour grapes about the way their friendship had ended with Elvis, but some truth interspersed with some jabs. But
could I tell you one personal experience, and this may give you an example? May I? Elvis and I were in, he has the TV room, and right across from that's where they played pool and everything. And girls, a lot of times, the boys would bring them in because they wanted to meet Elvis. They'd come with them. So one night we were watching TV. He was eating his peanut butter and banana sandwich, and I was eating my peanut butter and jelly sandwich and watching old movies when one of the billiard balls, or whatever you call them, came bouncing all the way through there. Elvis picked it up and pitched it back. I read the book. I didn't want to, but finally did. And it said in there, talked about he picked one up and threw this girl and hurt her. That's not true at all. I told it the way it really was.
Well, the thing about books on Elvis is everybody writes from their point of view, their own feelings, their own personal biases, their own memories. And I don't think any one book can tell you what Elvis was all about. But if you want some suggestions, write me at Graceland. I'll send you a book list.
You know,
because there are some really good ones out there.
We've seen a lot of Priscilla. I mean, she's been on television. She does commercials.
That's a treat, too. She was at Graceland a few weeks ago.
She looks that good in person?
She looks that good in person.
I think better.
Better, actually. Better, actually.
What about Lisa Marie? What is Lisa Marie doing now? Because when Elvis died, she was, what, 9 years old?
She was 9.5, and she was at Graceland across the hall.
Did she fully realize?
I think that Lisa is probably like, you know, she's 19. She'll be 19 on February 1st. And I think she's getting to the age now. She always loved her daddy. She always loved Graceland. She always loved who he was, and he always meant a lot to her. But I think she's now reaching the point, getting mature enough to really begin to comprehend that he wasn't just daddy. He was part of our history, and that he was very important. And she does have a very deep appreciation and interest for the music. We look for her to become more involved with what we're doing in the next few years.
Very wealthy young lady.
She won't have any problem paying the light bills at Graceland, I'll assure you.
Yes, I was curious as to what happens to the proceeds from the admissions to Graceland and to the planes and everything down in Memphis.
It's, well, the home and all of that you see at Graceland, that is owned by the estate of Elvis Presley Enterprises. And all of it is held in trust for Lisa Marie. And she's 19 now, and she will inherit at 25. The whole operation.
What a birthday party that's going to be.
Yes. But it all exists for her benefit.
I have a question to ask May. You said you used to work for Colonel Parker. Tell us a little bit about Colonel Parker.
Colonel Parker is another person who's been misquoted and talked about wrongly. He's a very fine, one of the greatest master psychologists I've ever known. I urged Elvis to go with him because I knew the Colonel could take him places he couldn't. Before they talk about Elvis, the Colonel took all his money. Elvis said to me one time when he read that in the paper, he said, May, even if he did take half, which he doesn't, he took half on some things, I'd rather have that than what I had when I started with him.
This could be for both, yeah. Elvis had a great backup band during the 70s, and I was curious to, like, what happened to Kathy Westmoreland and James Burton and them guys?
If you want to find out what happened to Kathy Westmoreland and the Jordanaires and all of these others, come to Memphis in August, because we'll have our third annual Nostalgia concert where we bring them all back together.
They all come back to Memphis for that?
They come back, as many of them who can get away from their schedules. The thing is, Elvis worked with only the best in the business, and they've all got jobs and they're all working, and they're terrific, and you can see them in August.
The Jordanaires, if I'll add to that, the Jordanaires live in Nashville. They work as a group called High Cotton. They also do backup for sessions. Very dear friends of mine because we used to travel together. And James Burton is in California, but he tours with different people when he does not doing sessions.
Elvis seemed to articulate very well and communicate very well. Was he an intelligent person, would you say?
A lot of people have a misconception about him. I don't know how many times I've read the description of him being a hick or a good old boy. Elvis was very well, he had a high school education, but he was self-educated. He was a voracious reader. He read intensely about philosophy and religion, spiritualism, criminology, law enforcement, government, all kinds of things, and could talk for hours.
He was very into law enforcement. In fact, he has a collection of
enormous collection of badges. They made him an honorary deputy all over the country, and you can see some of those at Graceland, too, in the trophy room.
Why did Elvis have so many Cadillacs?
Well, One thing he said in...
He had a lot of money, that's why.
Well, you know, when you grow up with not a lot, and he didn't have a lot, when you do have some money, you buy all of those things that you always wanted, and you buy all those things for your friends and your family. And I guess it was just a tangible sign of, I've made it. And he just enjoyed doing it. He enjoyed giving them away. He gave away more Cadillacs than he drove, because he...
There's a Cadillac dealership in Memphis that made a very fine living off of just Elvis.
Yeah.
Not just Memphis.
Are you an Elvis fan?
Mm-hmm.
Are you? How old are you?
11.
11, and you're an Elvis fan. What's your favorite Elvis song?
He likes them all.
Do you have a favorite?
Yeah.
You just can't think of it right now.
Swinging.
No. What's your question?
Swinging, that's John.
Does Elvis got a Cadillac in a mansion?
Well, it's not in the house. It wouldn't go through the front door, but
no.
It is there is a Cadillac
I want to tell you.
Out on the carport.
He has a gold one in the Country Music Hall of Fame,
but the famous pink Cadillac you just saw in the film a while ago is at Graceland for you to see. His mother's favorite.
How often does Priscilla come back to the mansion?
Until Lisa takes over at 25, Priscilla is one of the 3 co-executors of the estate, and she comes back several times a year to conduct business. And the place... You know, it's been a lot of years since her marriage to Elvis, but she has a very strong sentimental attachment to the place. It means a lot to her.
Do you believe these tours will continue in Memphis when Lisa turns 25?
Well, I think when she gets a chance to look at the receipts at the ticket office, she's doing very well. We'll just have to wait and see. It's her house, and it's all for her, and we'll just wait and see what she wants to do.
Let me ask you, Todd, how did Elvis feel about people like this gentleman? Do you go to work like this every day?
Oh, no, I don't.
Are you an impersonator, obviously?
Yes, I am. I play in a band right now, but a lot of times if occasion comes up where they want me to sing a few Elvis tunes here or there, whatever, I'll come and do it. You know.
May, what did he say about impersonators?
There were 1 or 2 that he got a kick out of. There was one he talked to me about. He really liked Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
He liked the way he got a kick out of it.
Sincerest form of flattery.
I don't know about the rest of them. I do know about Andy Kaufman. He laughed. He told me about that. He said, he's all right. Does he do like I do, really?
We'll take a short break, be right back and talk more about that special thing that Elvis had when we continue on Twin Cities Live.
Hi, I'm Loretta Swit with the most exciting new product for busy people since the invention of the telephone. It's the incredible new hands-free featherweight phone. It plugs right into your telephone and ends sore necks forever. It frees up your hands, so you're free to do whatever you want whenever you're on the phone. You can talk as long as you like and do your work at the same time, whether you're at home or in the office. And the reception on both ends is just as good as what you get from your handheld receiver. In fact, it even has a volume control, so you'll never have to ask anyone to speak up again. And this switch allows you to use the handset whenever you want. To switch to the featherweight phone, just flip the switch and put it on. That's all. And you can move it from phone to phone in seconds. Just plug the base in here, the cord from the wall in here, and your headset in here. It's that easy. Best of all, it's only $19.95. And if you're concerned about quality, listen to the words of the founder of America's largest answering service.
The featherweight phone is unbelievable. We've bought thousands of similar headsets for over $130 each. And yet I can't hear the difference between our expensive ones and the featherweight phone.
And it comes with a full money-back guarantee. Now, it's not available in stores, but you can order yours right now. Look, even if you've never ordered anything from TV before, believe me, this is the one time you should. Here's how.
Call toll-free 1-800-228-3300. Have your credit card handy when you call to save COD charges and rush your order. Or pay just $19.95 plus COD when your order arrives. So call now 1-800-228-3300. 1-800-228-3300. This is a free call.
He's got fantastic music, always has. There will probably never be a singer like him, spiritually, any of it, rock and roll. He could do it all.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. When I cry all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Crying all the time. Well, you ain't never gonna have it and you ain't no friend. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. You're crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound.
Now, you got to look at this. Now, I don't know if we can get a full shot of this guy, but now turn around. Let's see the back of that cape. Now, I mean, this is just incredible. I think maybe one of Elvis's outfits missing from the mansion, Todd.
Oh, well, I do need to maybe go make a quick call to Graceland and check on it.
May, how did Elvis handle his success?
I don't think Elvis ever comprehended exactly how big he was.
He never really
got
the idea that...
He knew he had money, he knew these people were yelling, and he was happy on stage. But the extent of it, he never really comprehended. He was still the same gentle, sweet, shy boy.
Let me turn to the Encyclopedia of Elvis, Todd Morgan. List quickly just a few things as far as records and hits and just a little capsule of his accomplishments.
Can I give you those chart statistics?
Yeah,
let's just to give you an idea of Elvis's success, just the sheer statistics of his career. Elvis has had right at 90 charted albums on Billboard's Pop chart. He's also had 149 songs listed on Billboard's Pop 100. Out of those, 114 were top 40, 40 were top 10, 18 made it to number 1, and those 18 number 1s spent a total of 80 weeks at number 1. Top that, somebody. And... And that's just the pop charts. That doesn't count country, gospel, rhythm and blues, because he broke down all the barriers. And there are gold records from all over the world: Norway, Yugoslavia, Japan, Australia, England, you name it, all over the Graceland Trophy Room. But the big figure, Bob, is the total record sales. Elvis has sold over 1 billion, that's billion with a B, baby, 1 billion records worldwide, more than any other individual or group in the history of recorded voice, and still counting. If you laid them end to end, they'd wrap around the earth more than twice.
Starting with Heartbreak Hotel, of course, right around the world.
That was the first gold one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was it Colonel Parker or Elvis himself who sent the good luck message to the Beatles when they were on the Ed Sullivan Show?
Probably both.
Both of them together, did they?
Hotel accommodations and dining provided by the Radisson University Hotel, 615 Washington Avenue Southeast on the University of Minnesota East Bank campus. Limousine service for the guests of Twin Cities Live, provided by Henderson Chauffeured Cadillacs. Bob Bruce's wardrobe is provided by Justers. Hair and makeup provided by Take 5, 504 North 1st Avenue in the Butler Building.
Before we get away here, I want to thank May and Todd for joining us today, because he's a fascinating man to talk about it forever. And good luck, Todd, of course, with the 10th anniversary coming up in August. Go ahead.
Was there any certain celebrity that Elvis really looked up to or idolized at all?
Different times, different people. One of his favorite actors was Tony Curtis. He also liked Peter Sellers, and he was a big Dean Martin fan at one time. He respected talent.
And believe it or not, one of the people he loved best first was a country music guy named Ernest Tubb.
I hear that Lisa Marie...
Mrs. Smith bought this sofa from a fine department store for $600. But for less money, Mrs. Jones bought the same sofa plus a lot more. Mrs. Jones went to the Court Furniture Rental Clearance Center, where furniture costs less because it's rented first.
Choose your size of mattress and box spring sets, just $99, and get bedroom sets from $269.
You'll get brand name furniture for less at the Court Furniture Rental Clearance Center.
8925 Lindell.